And thank you, Chair, and thank you to Dr. Glynn and Professor Nolan for their attendance here today. Just could I ask Professor Nolan, in relation to the testing that was done, and I know it was somewhat screen testing in the meat factories, but it turned up a high level of asymptomatics, and were these in fact false positives that were recorded as asymptomatic cases?
Oh, I've no concern that they're false positives, because the setting that they're in is a high prevalence setting. The disease was clearly there, and that gives you confidence that positives are true positives. It's only when you're screening large numbers of people that are very unlikely to have the disease that there's a concern about false positives. And the proportion of asymptomatic people in that, which was 59%, that's the experience internationally. When you go in and test everybody in a large workplace setting, you find that at least half the cases are asymptomatic, and that was the case in the recent set of outbreaks in meat factories. 41% symptomatic, 59% asymptomatic.
Okay, thank you. Just before, I know we spoke previously in the committee about the idea of regionalisation and the possibility or the potential for certain areas to be looked at in terms of possible opening up. And I suppose what I'm referencing here specifically are the rural wet pubs, some of them are in areas where there's absolutely no evidence of COVID around, and yet they are locked down. Is there anything on the horizon? Do you think you can offer any hope or support to those businesses that they might have some even kind of regional reopening policy?
So I might take that. In the first instance, I think we need to reiterate that unfortunately we had to recommend a set of measures for the country last week, and we recommended those measures for the country because we've seen cases as of yesterday in all bar one county over the past 14 days. And as Professor Nolan has alluded to earlier, within counties and given within a particular community area, people work, travel, socialise. So it's difficult to say that any one region in the country is devoid of disease, and even if it is today, it may not be tomorrow. In relation to the pubs, we do recognise, as I've said previously, we absolutely recognise the impact that this has had on small family businesses around the country, on communities that rely on their local pubs as a key point of social contact for people. But we have to be clear about what our priorities are. And for the next few weeks at least, our priority has to be reopening of our education system, ensuring that that goes smoothly in the context of a set of measures that are already in place for the country around reducing congregation. But we do keep it, and I absolutely commit to keeping it under review, both nationally and at a regional basis. And again, I want to reiterate that we are fully cognisant of the impact that this is having on the industry.
Okay, thank you. I know you've made your thoughts known in terms of the aviation sector and where travel might happen in the future, but can I ask you, in terms of the travel cases that you referenced a few minutes ago, are any of these related to the 30,000 movements per day that are happening across the border?
I'm afraid I don't have that data to hand, but if there is data available on that, we'll get it to you.
Okay, thank you. And just the other thing then, there's, I think probably the media is reporting up to 9 potential vaccines are presently, I suppose, at the front of a race to be approved. And I'm wondering, has NEFIT engaged in any way with the pharmaceutical companies involved or some of the promoters to see that if these vaccines get past their phase 3 trials and get early approval, that we will actually be able to get some of this for the Irish population?
So sorry, just as I'm reflecting on your previous question, I think I probably misunderstood. So just when I speak about imported or travel related cases, I do speak about cases that have come from overseas. So to answer your point, none of the cases that I referenced, the 69 cases, would be directly, like when I speak about travel, I'm not speaking about travel across the border. In relation to vaccines, yes, we've been actively involved in a process at European level now for a number of months, and I know there was some announcements around that last week, but as part of the European process, we are actively engaged with a number of manufacturers around vaccines. But ultimately, of course, I'm the first person who wants a vaccine and vaccines so that we can move on from this. But we need safe vaccines. We need effective vaccines, and neither safety nor effectiveness can come at the expense of. Neither safety or effectiveness can come. Speed can't trump safety or effectiveness. So we are engaged so that when a safe and effective vaccine becomes available, we'll be able to procure it. But precisely when that will be remains a little bit uncertain, although I would agree with you, given the unprecedented level of research and work that's ongoing, I would be optimistic and hopeful that we'll have news in relation to vaccines over the coming months.
Just a quick point of clarification. Is England, Scotland and Wales, are they overseas or are they, because I mean lots of people come from England and Scotland and Wales via Northern Ireland. Are they overseas or are they not overseas for the purposes of your statistics?
So if they're identified in contact tracing as having come from England, Scotland or Wales, they would be identified as a travel-related case.
As which?
As a travel-related case.
Overseas?
Yes.
Regardless of whether you came by land or whether you came across the land border or whether you arrived by air, it's the same classification?
Yeah, so if they've been in England, Scotland or Wales and are subsequently identified as a case in the Republic of Ireland, they will be categorised as a travel-related case.
But if they came from Belfast, they're not a travel-related case, is that what you're saying?
Precisely.
Right, okay. That's clear-ish. Thanks.